Bradford City continue their 2025-26 League One campaign with an away clash against Jack Wilshere's Luton Town. And in today's video, you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this game if I was Graham Alexander. If you do want to enjoy today's video, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit 5th in the League One table. After 28 matches, we've got 14 wins, 7 draws and 7 defeats, scoring 36 goals and also conceding 31, which leaves us on a positive 5 goal difference and 49 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a win, a loss, a loss, a loss and a win. So hopefully we have now come through that bad run of form now that the January transfer window is closed and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully we can re-kick on now and start building up some momentum again. Recently then, we had a 1-0 win at home to Doncaster Rovers. Tyreek Wright scoring his first league goal for Bradford City in nearly 2 years. Absolutely outstanding strike. Great game from Josh Nerfel. Max Power back to his best and some of the new signings looking really good in this game. The stats would maybe paint it much more of an even match, but it certainly felt like if that game finishes, say, 3-1 to Bradford City, I don't think anybody really could complain. But nice to get back to winning ways with a good performance. That's the best we've certainly played for a little while. We also had a 3-0 defeat away at Lincoln City. We were absolutely awful in this game. Clearly hadn't done much January transfer business by the time that this game it did come around, and the stats clearly do prove that. Just 0.03 XG created. Absolutely awful. Lincoln played us off the park. I mean, you look at the first half, we did absolutely nothing. It's been a couple of times this season where we've literally not had a shot in the entire first half. We also had a 1-0 defeat away at Huddersfield Town in the derby. Despite them getting a red card after around the hour mark, we were unable again to really create anything in this game. Again, you look at the first half, absolutely awful. Just total domination from Huddersfield in a game that we definitely did deserve to lose. We also had a 2-1 defeat at home to Cardiff City. This one was a little bit better than the Huddersfield and Lincoln games. Again, it was a pretty poor first half on the whole. Didn't really create much. Our first shot wasn't until the 40th minute, but second half we really did give it a go. Score a great goal through Jensen Metcalf, and on another day could have certainly nicked a point out of that one, but Cardiff City is certainly going to go on and win the League One title. And we also had a 2-1 win away at Blackpool. This was a pretty good result and also a good performance to go with it as well. Aidan Baldwin scoring his first goal for the football club, and Will Swan getting his first for around 4 months or so. Obviously he's still going to miss the next couple of games through injury, but you're never going to complain about picking 3 points up away from home, and especially against a well-established League One side in Blackpool. Compared though to Luton Town, they are hot on our heels at this moment in time as they occupy 7th position. They currently sit there after 29 games where they've got 12 wins, 6 draws and 11 defeats, where they've scored 38 goals but also conceded at 34, which leaves them on a positive 4 goal difference and 42 points. Their last couple of matches then have been a win, a loss, a draw and a win. So very inconsistent for them at this moment in time. I know they've been very strong at home, in particular since Jack Wilshere has come in, but it's away from home where they really have struggled so far this campaign. You look at the home table, they had a 6th best home team in the entire division, but recently then they had a 1-0 win at home to Blackpool. Clark scoring the only goal of the game in that one, and he's been a very important player for Luton so far this season. 8 goals from midfield. He got 12 goal contributions in the Championship as well, and he's certainly going to be one of their many danger men coming into this game. I know Blackpool haven't been great on the road so far this season. If we look at the stats from the match then, it was a deserved win for Luton. They also had a 1-0 defeat away at Huddersfield Town. Alfie May sent off in very controversial circumstances. Let me know your thoughts on that red card down in the comment section down below. But Ryan Ledson scoring from inside his own half to secure the 3 points for the home side in that one. The stats slightly edged in favour of Luton, but again, they're similar to Bradford City. When Huddersfield go down to 10 men, they are actually a very hard side to break down. They also had a 1-0 defeat away at Plymouth. 2 sides who were obviously relegated from the Championship last campaign, but anytime you've got to go to Plymouth for a half-12 kickoff, it is always going to be very tough. And again, you look at the stats from this game, Luton have dominated possession, but Plymouth have been better in pretty much every other statistic. They also had a 2-2 draw at home to Lincoln City. Obviously, Lincoln were 2-0 up in this game after 22 minutes, but Luton managed to get a couple of goals back before half-time. Luton did actually have the ball in the back of the net in the second half, but for me, it was wrongfully disallowed. The Lincoln goalkeeper seems to just punch himself in the chest. I think it's from a corner or maybe a free kick out in that corner sort of position, but that goal should have never been disallowed really, and Luton probably should have have got the 3 points in that one. Again, you look at the stats from this game, Luton were the better of the two sides, and we all saw last Tuesday how good Lincoln City can be. And they also had a 2-1 win at home to Stevenage. Clark did miss a penalty in this game, but he was the man who scored the equaliser, and Kadoa, who actually scored against Bradford City in the reverse fixture, scored in this one. Just going back to the reverse fixture, I think it was actually like the third game of the season. We obviously beat them 2-1 in that game. Humphreys and Poynton on the score sheet on that day, and I'll probably say it was a deserved win for Bradford City, but they've had a change in manager. Both teams' squads have changed quite a lot since that day, and again, you look at the stats from this one, quite an even game in all honesty, but if any side did deserve to win that game, you probably would say it is Luton Town. So as we know, they're a strong team at home. It's going to be a very tough game, so we're going to have to go there, be on our A game, and not play like how we've done against Huddersfield and Lincoln. We've got to go there and give it a real give it a real go. High pressing, high intensity stuff from minute one, but it's a very tight ground. My first time visiting Luton on Saturday, so I'm certainly looking forward to it. Before we do go any further though with today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What is your score prediction for this match? What would your starting 11 be as well? We've obviously had a decent performance against Doncaster, but we've had a couple of new signings come in through the door as well, so let me know your thoughts down below. In terms of my team then for this game, I was in a massive debate around what formation Bradford City should play for this one, because we've seen in a lot of games recently, especially against the better sides, that we have been largely overrun in midfield, and it has been a big problem for Bradford City. But we played really well against Doncaster in the 3-4-2-1, and I don't think we'll necessarily get exposed against Luton Town, because it's not a massive pitch, or it certainly doesn't feel like that from what you see on TV and all that sort of stuff, because the stands are practically right on top of the pitch. It's a very compact stadium and all that sort of stuff, so I think we should be fine with the 3-4-2-1, but again, if we have to change formation, then that is something that we should do. In terms of my goalkeeper then, I would stick with Sam Walker. Great for him to keep another clean sheet on Saturday. Didn't really have much to do, makes a good save from Luke Molyneux in the second half, although it's one that you certainly would expect him, if he gets beaten from outside the area at his front post, I think people would be complaining. One thing that I have noticed with Sam Walker is it seems to happen once a game, I would say, on average, give or take. It sometimes happens more than once a game, sometimes doesn't happen in a game, but around once a game, 1 in every 2 games, something like that, where a cross will come into the box. It seems pretty comfortable, I would say, not easy, but comfortable for a 6'7" goalkeeper to come and claim the cross, and it's happened a fair few times this season where he's just dropped it, and thankfully, it's not cost us so far this campaign, but it nearly did against Doncaster. It was a great goal line clearance from Matt Pennington, but the same happened in the second half against Lincoln. It happened against Wigan from memory, and there has been a couple of other times this season. So that is my slight concern with Sam Walker, but on the whole, he has had a good season so far. In terms of my back three then, at right centre-back, I would go with Matt Pennington. As I just mentioned there, a brilliant goal line clearance which stopped a certain goal on Saturday against Doncaster. But I actually thought, apart from that, which was a great moment for him, it wasn't his best game in a Bradford City shirt, but hopefully that full match under his belt will have done him the world of good, given that he played, I think, about 70-75 minutes maybe against Lincoln. So hopefully he's now able to be consistently playing. He's had a week's rest since the Doncaster game. Obviously, prior to that, he had been out for a couple of months, but Pennington on the whole so far this season has been pretty solid. In the middle of my back three, I would go with Aidan Baldwin, who I thought had a really good game against Doncaster. When you consider Luton don't really have the most physical of strikers, I think you are pretty comfortable with playing Baldwin in the middle of that back three. His passing range was outstanding in the last game against Doncaster, and especially on, like I say, a tight pitch, we need somebody who's going to be very accurate with those diagonal balls, and Aidan Baldwin for me definitely has to start. And as my left centre back then, I would go with Ibu Toure. I think we've seen recently a couple of mistakes creeping into the game of Curtis Tilt, who I think on the whole has proved to be a really good signing for Bradford City, but in this type of game where, again, the pitch is going to be very tight, they don't really have the most physical of strikers, I think you can afford to play Toure in the back three, bit more technical ability back there rather than your brute physicality. And I think that back three we've seen a couple of times this season, like at home to Huddersfield, away to Cardiff. Some of our better performances this season have come when that is our back three, so if it's available, I'd like to see it for this one. In terms of my midfield four then, firstly at right wing back, I would go with Josh Nerfield, who I thought was absolutely outstanding against Doncaster. His best performance comfortably comfortably in a Bradford City shirt for a number of months. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Certainly deserved that assist that he obviously gets for Tyrik's right goal. He was just very good. He had their left back on toast every single time he got the ball, beat him near enough every time, and that's what I want to see more of from Josh Neufville. Get the ball and get at your man. I remember in the reverse fixture he was absolutely outstanding, so hopefully he can maintain that level once again for this game. In terms of my two central midfielders, firstly I would go with the captain, Max Power. Again, similar to Josh Neufville, I thought on Saturday against Doncaster that was his best performance in a Bradford City shirt for a number of months. I think it was only about 10 or 15 minutes in where he was a very firm, hard-hitting 50-50 challenge, which he won the ball, came out on the right side of, and obviously we know that there is a potential erring on the side of caution, given that he is now on 9 yellow cards and has been for quite a while. But now we've brought in Lee Evans on transfer deadline day, I don't think Power needs to be as reserved, and like I say, I thought he was brilliant against Doncaster, so certainly does deserve to start. Partnering him, I would go with Jensen Metcalfe. He just gets better and better as each game does go by. Absolutely outstanding, and obviously I don't even think was featuring in the matchday squads at the beginning of the season in the reverse fixture, and now obviously he's one of the first names on the team sheet for Bradford City. Signed to a long-term deal, probably going to be sold for Bradford City's club at record fee. Absolutely outstanding, and certainly deserves to keep his place in the side. And completing my midfield four then, at left wing back I would go with Tyrik Wright. Absolutely delighted for him to get his first Bradford City goal in nearly 2 years in the league. Obviously he scored in the EFL Trophy earlier on this campaign. I don't think scored in any competition for Bradford City last campaign, but absolutely delighted for him, and an absolutely brilliant striker as well. His first Bradford City goal in front of the Kop as well, and hopefully he can just have a bit more confidence to shoot more, have more confidence to take your man on, because I think that's my biggest gripe I have with Tyrik Wright. We know that he has actually got the ability to take players on, but he's always wanted to come backwards, and we saw even last season that Alexander got a bit frustrated with Teo Adaramola for not just going forward and taking the risk. If you're in the final third, it doesn't necessarily matter if you lose the ball. Nobody expects you to take your man on every single time, but give it a go. You've got the pace to certainly do that, and I would like to see him get the start in this one, especially if Torre is playing as the left centre back. In terms of my front three then, firstly as my right attacking midfielder I would go with Caden Jackson. Obviously managed around 55-60 minutes or so on debut. Given that he's not played that much football so far this campaign, I thought he did a very good job and was certainly very impressive. I know George Lapsley came on off the bench and did a steady away job for Bradford City, but you could see there was a bit of a drop in quality when obviously Jackson came off of the pitch. Was unlucky with obviously the manner of how his goal was disallowed. Yes, it was handball, but the manner of it still very controversial for me, and obviously he's had a week's break. It was confirmed that it was just cramp that he did come off with, so hopefully he is available to start once again. As my left attacking midfielder I would go with Stephen Humphreys. I know Alexander said that he's not going to play Humphreys as a left winger, and I get that, but this is not a left wing position, is it? This is a left attacking midfielder. We saw against Doncaster that the front three can certainly be very fluid, and I think away from home in this type of game, having a bit more physicality in the way of Humphreys rather than the technical ability of a Bobby Poynton. I think Poynton at this moment in time he's getting a lot, or certainly certain sections of the fan base who are questioning his consistency, and I think certainly away from home it might suit him to be on the bench for this type of game. Give Humphreys that opportunity, and again this front three can certainly be very fluid, and naturally they are all strikers for Bradford City, and we know Stephen Humphreys cannot play 90 minutes in this position. Alexander said himself he can't do that because he's running and all that sort of stuff, but even if he manages an hour, 65-70 minutes, whatever it is, until Humphreys is blowing out of his arse basically, give him that opportunity to play in that position. We've got a lot of very good players now, and this isn't necessarily shoehorning Humphreys in as a left attacking midfielder, and I'm certainly not one of these people that say Humphreys cannot play striker whatsoever. He has to play off the left, but I think in this type of game, again, narrow pitch, it's going to be physical, it's going to be tight. Humphreys in this position certainly could work a little bit better for me than Bobby Poynton. And completing my team then as my striker, I would go with Paul Mullin. Obviously came off the bench on Saturday for the final 30-35 minutes, something like that, and I thought showed his quality. Just a real nasty player to play against, but one that he certainly won on your side, and I think he's going to massively suit Graham Alexander's high pressing system and the way that we play. I think he's certainly good for a goal, knows where the back of the net is. Obviously comes on and has a real good impact. Just shows the experience, shows his nous. Even later on in the game when we're trying to run the clock down, he's just them little nudges in the back, which aren't quite nudges enough to be fouls, but they're enough to put the defender off. He's just a really intelligent forward, and I would like to see him get the start in this one. Again, we've recruited very well in this January transfer window on the whole. I would have liked to have seen some of this business done a little bit earlier on in the window, and then we'd have had a real chance against your Huddersfields and your Lincolns, where we kind of just threw the towel in, really, in all honesty, given our lack of availability, especially going forward. But now we're getting players returned back from injury, the signings we've made as well. Let me just name you this bench as well in a second, because it is a very, very strong one. On the bench then for me, that would leave Joe Hilton, Harrison Ashby, Curtis Tilt, Lee Evans, Anthony Sarcevic, who should be back from injury, Bobby Poynton, and also Ethan Wheatley. Arguably our strongest bench of the season so far. The only players currently unavailable are Nick Powell and Will Swan. It sounds like in Will Swan's case he might be back in the next couple of weeks, but given our striking options now at the top end of the pitch, I don't think it's certainly one that we need to be rushing back, as big of a fan I am of Will Swan. And also Nick Powell, who Alexander doesn't seem entirely convinced will play for Bradford City between now and the end of the season. It was more of a never say never type approach rather than, yeah, he should be back, even though we were told originally that he should be back around this sort of time. So clearly Powell must have had some type of injury setback. So the players who miss out then through selection would be Joe Wright, through no real fault of his own. I thought he was steady away when he came off the bench against Doncaster. Kieran Kelly, George Lapsley, again, had a decent cameo on off the bench against Doncaster, but unfortunately is a little bit too far down the pecking order. Joe White, who I think has certainly not impressed so far in a Bradford City shirt, and also Louis Sibley, who hasn't really done much as well. I mean, have you anybody seen George Lapsley and Louis Sibley in the same room? I don't believe it. I don't think I think it's the same person. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your score prediction for this match. What would your starting 11 be as well? Do you agree or disagree with my team? I don't think a point away at Luton would be a bad one whatsoever. If we lose, then, you know, that is a big blow for us, because they're obviously really, really closing that gap. Then if we win, that's maybe 1 foot in the playoffs, you could say. I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. Lots of football still to be played, but we are now coming in towards that business end of the season. So thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.